Hello, everybody. I hope you're here today. Thanks for joining me on Sunday, November 6th. I'm Bob Phibbs, the retail doc, but you knew that. Do you know what this is? You know what that is? Anyone? Anyone? Put that in comments. Put that in comments. I know that you're watching. But regardless if you know what that is, type in where you're joining me from around the world because at the end of the day, I always like to interface with all of you. And I know you're all over the world. And some of you are watching me on the replay, obviously, but I read every comment you put down. So make sure you type that in. And wherever you're joining me from, good day. So I just want to start off today in people in the US. Make sure that on Tuesday you vote. It's always important that you go out and get your opinions out there, whatever your side, whatever your position. But if you don't participate, you don't get a right to comment. So do me a favor and comment now. This is your perfect time. And then more importantly, as you're going through, if you'd do me a favor and just give me some love, or you can give me, hey, Cedric, glad you're here today. Give me a thumbs up, whatever platform you're looking on. All right. So that's number two. A special shout out to Lauren with Robot versus a Sloth. You see that little character back there? That is the burrito unicorn. It's a street artist in Seattle that Lauren saw. And this guy is a great, he puts these posters up all around downtown Seattle, missing 8.5-year-old burrito unicorn. His name is Pablo. If you've seen him, please call. He is dearly missed by his family. And if you call, the artist actually answers, which is cute. But what she did was she said, I love your street art. Could we do something? And he actually started producing them and she started selling them. So hats off. That is some of the fun stuff that we do in retail, that we can make a difference in people's lives. And I absolutely believe we can change the world by people working and shopping in retail if you're just willing to open your heart up and be curious about somebody today. I don't see anybody yet knowing what this is. Come on, nobody knows this? I can't believe this. Really? Nobody knows what that is? Type it in. Let me know you're there. All right. I've been traveling the last couple of weeks. I was in Seattle. I've been in Pennsylvania, New York, and a lot of other places. And I have been amazed by the people I'm meeting in retail and all the service workers who are out there doing their best, engaging, curious, having fun, and making our day before we make their day. And that's the key to all of it. In fact, I was in Park City, Pennsylvania, which is outside of Allentown. Those of you in musical theater. Did you say Allentown, which is the start of Lullaby of Broadway from 42nd Street, if you don't know the movie? And yeah, outside of Allentown. And you know what was interesting is the mall was packed. It had Gen Zs all over the place in groups of threes and fives carrying bags. And as much as people are trying to push us in to talk us into having a recession, I didn't see any evidence of that. In fact, it's just the opposite because we are almost 2 months ahead of Christmas. Remember, Christmas on a Sunday this year, so that's always a challenge. We'd much rather have it on a Wednesday where it throws up everybody's schedule and we get that extra weekend, but you're going to lose a Sunday and part of a Saturday. So be planning for that as you're making your holiday preparations. And tonight in my newsletter, I've got a big post on the recession. So I will put a link in after our video today. In case you're not on my newsletter list, I think we have 88,000 on our list, but can always use 88,001. So I hope you'll read that tonight. Still, nobody knows what this is. Park might be Park City, Lancaster. That's right, Joanne. That's right. So this is the when you go to the world office of Apple in Cupertino, they have built what they call the park, is this giant, big, round building. And I was really shocked that they actually sold T-shirts you could only get there. So there you have it. If you're a Mac person, it probably would have been a mecca for you. All right. Well, you have a lot of questions. You have a lot of questions. I do these always the first Sunday of the month, but some of these are kind of repetitive, so I've condensed them. Yours may not necessarily be in there, but let's get to it. I have Christian from Massachusetts, got Marty from North Carolina, Olga from Ireland. I don't know whereabouts in Ireland, though. My goodness. And Roger live today. Great. Danny from Kerry, Ireland. Oh, we're on Abdullah from Bangladesh. Lewis, hey, good morning. Glad you're there. Munchie from Bangladesh. Sherry from Dayton. Oh, my goodness. Well, I can't go through all of you, but you know that I am glad you're there. And the rest of you are stalking me. You can type in and let me know you're there as well. Top fan Nancy asks, what's the best way for retailers to prepare for the economic uncertainties that 2023 is likely to bring? Well, first off, I'd say get your head in the idea that it could be a year of unprecedented possibilities, not problems. That's number one. Number two is again, read my newsletter tonight on the recession. It was interesting. I did a 3 hour speech. And NBA members out there in Seattle, thanks for having me a couple weeks ago. And at the very end, this young man asked me a question. He goes, "Do you think that we'll be in a recession in 2023?" And I said, I think we're all talking ourselves into it. And it's just going to be, in fact, under most ideas, technically we have been in a recession. But every time they're about ready to say it, it's like, oh my God, consumer demand is still up. People are still buying. So what's going? We still have a lot of jobs to go. See, it's the exact opposite of what we would think. Oh, we're in a recession, so demand is down, and there are too many people in the unemployment. That's still not what's happening. So we are in a different world. So I think that, and the young man furthered, he said, "Well, at this show, a lot of our vendors are telling us to cut back because of recession." I go, "Well, that's how it happens. Everybody cuts back and says, oh, no one's going to buy." But in every time like that, I have seen people who have been able to go against the grain, and they're very smart. They know their data, they know their customers, and really that's all that matters. Because usually when we talk about recessions and downturns and all that stuff, it's pockets. It's usually not an entire country. Although I will say, my goodness, in Europe, with energy and everything going on with it's going to be a challenge. There's no two ways about it. However, we're here after COVID. Think of how many small businesses like yours or big businesses um, did not make it. So, you provide the best you can, but I always come back. Are you doing everything possible to connect with your employees? Are you everything possible? That's the mark. And are you doing everything possible to make an exceptional experience for your customers? If you think letting somebody walk in the door, clock in at 9:01 and get on the shift at 9:02 and just stand there all day is doing the job, you are seriously mistaken, because we are not going to reward schlocky retail anymore. I know I'm not. And I have to think I'm a lot of other people as well. And as much as people say, "Oh, we do a great job," maybe you do a great job with people but that's not the point. If you're in retail, you have to do a great job with people that don't know you, because then they rave about the experience. That's what makes the difference. And if you're just joining me, type in where you're joining me from. That's great. Of course, Adley, you can ask a question. That's fine. Uh, Geraldine says, how to keep spirits up while your foot traffic is down. So, number one, Geraldine, I'd say, how do you start your day? Again, are you going to just open your phone and let it just vomit crap into your mind? Because garbage in and garbage out. Oh, who should I hate today, and why should I hate them? That's really what the news has become. I like her, and who does she hate? Great, I'll hate her. I'll tweet about that. Right. Maybe you won't tweet about it now with Elon, but you get the idea that we start our days out. We don't consider what our mind frame has to be to help other people, and understand that your mind has to be challenged every day. That's not, oh, where does this go? It's like puzzles, like learning a new instrument, like learning a new language. The brain has to learn if you want to be able to keep your spirits up. So find something to learn. Obviously, I'm going to say sales training, because that's what I do. That's how I make my living. But more importantly, when you get those synapses working, life gets better. When they don't, you end up fretting. And the more you fret, you're becoming good to no one. Your job is to use the choice muscle and say, I'm going to choose to look at the opportunities. And they're always there in retail. Andrew says, conditions of excess inventory, how and when to close out a season and move on. Well, I have a post that I will put in here afterwards, and I did it actually. Someone asked, I think Mandy asked me this question earlier. But merchandise has an expiration date. It's your money sitting there. So understand that it's kind of like the stock market. You might have a bad buy, like Carvana right now. I read is down 95%, 95%. And yeah, you could hold on to that and say, well, they might come back. They might. Hula hoops might come back, I guess, like they were in the 50s. Um, Chia pets might come back. I don't know. But it would be better that you get out of it, just like a stock market bad buy, and find something else that's moving faster. So If you're asking me how do you do it, I mean, I always say it's 40% off for 2 weeks and it's 60% off for a week, and then you donate it and you're done. People hold on to crap and think that, I'm going to look for right now 4th of July stuff that's 50% off, or they're just going to pack it up and hold it till next year. Again, that money is stuck now in a box for 12 months and can't make you any money at all. So it's better to get out of it, be fresh, and move on. My voice is a little tired today because I had a speech Thursday and I didn't have a mic, so I'm I might sound a little different today. All right. Greg says, good ideas, but good and bad ideas for end of season sales. Seems to be on a sale question today. Well, bundling can always be good, but you have to ask yourself, if you were a customer, is this discount enough for me to change me to say, oh, yeah, I guess I'll get that? If it's not enough, you're taking a little step at clearance. 10% off this weekend, no one cares. 20% off, no one cares. 30% off, even then. But when you're down into, if you're really trying to get rid of it, then just be serious and say, can I get out of this? Ideally with what I paid and the shipping I paid. But in this marketplace, it doesn't matter because again, merchandise is like milk. It gets bad, it goes old, and people can smell it. All right. And the other problem you said, what did you say? You said good and bad ideas of end of season sales. The other bad one is because you never trained your employees can now sell the stuff that's 60% off. Like, yeah, this is great. And you're like, no, that's not the time to be selling it. The time to be selling it is when it was full price and I pay your salary. When you're really doing a great job at half off, 60% off merchandise, you're not helping me at all because the merch, that's why we marked it down. All right. So I hope that helps. And by the way, if you have any questions or thoughts, you could always give me some thumbs up or the love or whatever it's going to be because algorithms are everywhere and I am not on TikTok. I've tried it and it's just not really my market. You're all much older who pay for my services. But if you have anything that resonates with Gen Z, it is a matter of getting your algorithms to notice you and show them to more people. And that's a whole nother story, which no one luckily asked me about. So there you go. And you can't ask now. All right. Justin said, marketing, engaging customers for a business that doesn't have a brick and mortar location. I sell photography services. With brick and mortar, they enter your location, you connect and find ways to help them. I'm trying to find ways to get those people to contact me so I can start the process. So you could model it after me. You have to overshare tips. That's in writing. That's in video. Video would be my number one. I would make sure that you're doing it at least once a day and it's relevant. So what are the problems in November? You have less light. Might have more birds against gray backgrounds. What are they supposed to do? You have action shots of kids in football. How should they do that? Do you take these pictures or your goal is to make it look easy, but then they come to you for the how. That's kind of it. And then think about what are the top problems people have with photography and how to avoid it. And then you're always having some kind of a CTA to learn more, to message you, to call, to email, be available. That would be my suggestion. And that's really not much different than a brick and mortar store, really. Yes, Sherry, everything possible for employees and customers. That's exactly it. Debbie says, my website automatically added Afterpay with a promo until December 31st. Do I want it? What are the best pros and cons? My average online sales, $350. Yes, Gen Z loves it. Afterpay basically takes all the risk of a payment plan and they qualify the person. And if the person doesn't pay, then they still pay the merchant the full amount. There might be a small fee to it, but I absolutely would add that because all the risk is on them. And then you can track it and say, does this work? Sidra says our reels are on fire and we post them daily. Exactly. That's really good. I love that. Okay, so this is too long a question. I have to put it back on the screen there. So Mubab from Bangladesh. Okay, you're working here, number one retail shop in Bangladesh. Great. My question is, how's the best way to make more retention our customers in every category? Well, it's really simple. You have to go through and you have to do an exceptional experience. You've got to make them feel like they're so important in those 20 seconds, 5 minutes, 20 minutes that they can't imagine shopping anywhere else. And that takes a process. And it's probably going to cost you more with the difference in currencies, but you should check out salesrx.com, SALESRX.com. That's where all my training is. It's not an easy thing. It's not a one check mark and we've done it. It's a matter of a consistent pattern of learning a process. Just like if you're writing a romance novel, we have to meet the characters, there's a conflict, they resolve it, another conflict, and it resolves. That's very much like a retail store. If you cut off the first third of it, you're pretty much left with, hi, can I help you find something? No, I'm going to be over here and be bored and bitter. Okay, great. That's kind of the story of most retailers. And when people tell me, "Oh, but our customers are great, my employees are great," and I go and experience it firsthand, I'm like, "This is not great." Sometimes we're kidding ourselves. It's great because we want to believe that. But I can tell you, in places where I've been, and I'll tell you a story. It looks like here a little bit later about my flight from where was I? Tampa to Newark, what that takes. Suzanne says, can you help with giving excellent service to customers when you have multiple jobs to do? You know, when I was in Godspell, Suzanne, I played both Judas and Jesus when I was in high school, two different productions. And one of the characters said, you know, no one can serve two masters, for either he'll hate the one and love the other, or else he'll be devoted to one and despise the other. Most retailers these days have allowed their employees to love tasks and hate customers. Tell me it's different. It's not. They will hide behind the rack. They will do anything other than that. And that's also happening in parenting because we're getting away with people having kids like always turning away, or they don't have to talk to people. And we're teaching them that talking to people is hard or something to be avoided. And so when you say giving excellent customer service, I think you have to go through and understand what is great, excellent customer service. I have obviously a plan for it, salesrx.com, which if you're looking for, I want to create exceptional experience and I'm willing to do the work, I'm perfect for you. But if you think that just watching a few videos are going to do it, no, the hard work is you watch what I teach and then you have to go through and practice it, just like a musical instrument, just like a sport, just like anything else. That takes a lot of work. So when you have multiple jobs to do, if you're telling me give great, excellent customer service, when we have multiple jobs to do, my guess is excellent customer service A isn't defined. I don't know what success looks like and how to deliver it. And it's just one of the things to do. And if you have employees typically who are younger, who aren't necessarily going to want to go out and meet somebody, then it's going to be the last thing. So not only do they not get great customer service, they'd rather do something else. It all comes down to what is the number one thing that's the most important thing for your business. If you don't know it, they aren't going to know it. If you say the customer is the most important thing in the world, then you model it and you show them exactly what the process is, and they can do that. Then you can come back and ask me, oh, and then how do we do other jobs in addition to that? That's fine. But if it's not, it's just going to be one of these things, and they don't know what success looks like, and they will always default to tasks or anything else than talking to a customer. Yes, it is a very different world in 2022, but people always who are successful are the ones that get out behind the counter and understand I've got to be curious and make somebody else's day before they're going to make mine. Top fan Bob asked me, how do you cross train employees to run different departments so we can be better for the holidays, or is it too late? All right, Bob, training is never too late. I did a business makeover for Andy. I don't know if you're watching it from Alpen House, just up the way from me. We did a business makeover. We entirely re-merchandised his store the week before Christmas. He goes, I know this is nuts, but I think we should do it. And I was like, dude, it's never too late. So first off, it's never too late. What are the 5 most pressing things in one department? So write them out. What's important to know? What does success look like when managing that department in only these 5 areas? And then you would need to train for comprehension, not train a box. So it's not like, okay, so we're in luggage. You need to know that luggage. The one thing about luggage is this and this and this and this and this. Any questions? Okay, I'm done. It's like, no, that's not done. You've exposed them. You haven't trained them. So training is going to mean I'm going to take time. I'm going to take time to really make sure they understand those 5 things. And when they have those 5 things, then you'll work to another 5 and that's it. But you can't just throw them into the pool and it's like, all right, we're all going to learn this now, because they have a very, particularly millennials, they grew up on the Food Network. So, you know, a quarter teaspoon of cumin and only a tablespoon and a teaspoon of salt or whatever. You need to have exact ideas of what they're supposed to do, particularly if they're younger, of what success looks like. And that's the other thing. Just hammer in your head, what does success look like if they do this right? Not, oh, this could happen. This could. What does success look like? By the way, if you like what I'm saying, you're already here 20 minutes. Give me a thumbs up. Give me some love. Type in where you're from if you haven't already done that, because the algorithm is hungry for your thoughts. And I still have a whole nother page of things to answer. So there you go. I guess we'll be here for another probably 5 or 7 minutes. All righty. Susan says, please ask your listeners to be kind to retail workers. All of us are struggling to keep up with the masses of customers while our employee force has and still is dwindling every week. We simply ask customers wait in lines while not grumbling. The cashiers are doing triple duty in all sectors of retail. Please stop taking out your impatience on workers that have no power. If you're that irate, ask the store manager. Okay, that's fine. I've read it. You've asked me to read that. I have. But I'm also going to ask for retail workers to look at their attitude toward customers as well. Sorry, but I have seen people who have no interest in looking or talking to me and basically just making other people feel miserable. I flew United from Tampa to Newark the other day, and this man, from the moment he saw you, was just, welcome. We're so glad you're here. And even the people who most were like, don't talk to me, he got a smile out of them. That was 150 people that passed him. And I imagine every day he does the same thing. And I asked him, I said, so Christian, tell me, how long you been working customer service? He goes, oh, I've been working customer service since I was 10 at my parents' store. I learned early. You're going to wake somebody else's day. You're going to find a way and say, the most important thing is for me to make sure I win this person over and have fun with it. And if you think the customers are all nasty and all this, I can tell you a lot of times it comes from the attitude that we get, right? So it's both ways. And I think everybody can be the person who makes someone else's day on both sides. I hope that helps. Brandon says, good morning, Bonnie from Atlanta. Burnout. Just one word, burnout. Question, burnout. I like that. So I start off with, again, how do you start your day? Are you just letting this thing vomit nastiness into your head and then wondering why you feel burned out? To me, burnout is a symptom of not learning. The mind gets bored. Synapses aren't firing. We get tired. And when you learn something, it's enervating. That's why people, when they quit a job and they start someone else, oh, it's so exciting because the mind is having to learn all these things. Well, do that yourself. And if you're not getting that at work, again, do a puzzle, learn a different language, find some way to get the mind to work every day. If you just stay in that stuck, I got to go in and do a spreadsheet, and then I got to do a review, and then we've got to go to the mind is just going to shift as the lowest amount of effort it has to do. It's like, yeah, I know how this works. We're not going to think or have fun today. Great, I'm there. So I think the idea comes down to get those synapses to fire, and it isn't an easy answer, but a lot of times we allow ourselves to get stuck, right? So look at the opportunities. If anything, we've learned certainly with the polarization of politics, you can take anything and looks like the sky's clearing. Oh, it's gonna be a great day. Oh, I bet the clouds are gonna hang around because I saw on the Weather Channel it's 40%, right? I mean, your choice. It's either gonna be a great day or a crappy day, but you get to choose it. So you define that. And I want you and everyone who's still watching this to realize there are scads of people around the world wish they had one opportunity you have every day, and you have hundreds to change your life. They would give their eye teeth to have one, just one of the opportunities you have today. And if we accept that and we say, wow, that's something very important, then you be grateful for what you do have and you find a way to share that with other people. All right. I hope that helps. Janik says, only question for retail. You can certainly ask it, Janik. I'm on for another few minutes. So ask away. Nancy asks, how to retain employees? Well, a learning mind, I think I've hit that a lot this morning. A learning mind is always happier. A job that is more than just tasks. Do as I say, move this, go there. Don't leave them alone, because when they're alone, a lot of times they're going to default to their real boyfriend, girlfriend, which is the smartphone, and they're going to, disappoint you that way. And show them a path to learning. So show them something that they can learn so that they feel that they have a path to either becoming a better retailer or a better person or more responsible, or maybe they're going to be able to have more fun. But it's quite a responsibility I think a lot of people have gotten rid of. I talked to several of our retailers, and the thing I always find interesting is how many of them have a book club for their managers. So every week they have to read one chapter, and then they discuss it in their meetings. Whether it's my book, The Retail Doc's Guide to Growing Your Business, of course you should have that, but it could be any number of things. But it keeps the mind learning and keeps them focused on how do I do better, and to get them to be thinking. So you want to train employees, you have to go think about, well, what am I bringing to the table to begin with? All right. Harvest says we're a brick and mortar ideas to get customers in the door without promoting a sale. Again, Google My Business. Always make sure you're doing status updates every day. It's very important. I think you were a gift in a pharmacy or something like that. Go beyond. We have flu shots. Why should I get it? Who is it perfect for? Find benefits of why I would go do that, and get that message out instead of just this kind of a thing. And even you can use sales training at the register, because again, people who feel that they matter buy more, and then they tell their friends, and people who feel like that usually tell their friends who also want to come in and buy more. Mandy says inventory levels. What resources can help determine what healthy is to start grow? But now it's actually answered this, and I put your link to this blog into your question, but I will put this in afterwards as well. If you don't know how to figure open to buy, I've got a little way that'll make that help. David says thoughts about planning the future of a business with the owners who are beginning to age out. David, it's the same thing. All of us, as we get into I'm in my 60s, but everybody starts thinking about, well, what's my business worth? And so, depending how far you're out, you should always start with your accountant, because having clean records and making sure that you've taken things off of the business, like your house and all these other things, get them out of the balance sheets, get those clear for a couple of years. And then there are, I should know this offhand, it's a business brokers association, I believe it is, and you can talk to someone in your area, and they'll give you tips on what you can do to get ready. It's usually free analysis, so I hope that helps. I wish I had the name of it, but it's it's something about like selling business associations, something like that. Thank you, Roberta. Perspective. That's exactly right. Sidra says, how do you overcome the younger generation that look at you? You have 12 heads that you do not want to even speak good morning to them. The ones that think you're pushy if you just greet them. You don't let that bother you. If that's what they give you, that look, well, that's up to them. But you can still say good morning to somebody, can't you? You can still be nice to somebody. That's what we feel like. Oh, if it's not reciprocated, hey, if you ever dated anyone, there's a lot of things were never reciprocated. You ever went to high school, a lot of things were never reciprocated. And now we take them as a personal affront. It's like, oh, they're having a bad day. I've told this story probably a couple of times, but I'll never forget. My mom was in checkout at Albertsons probably 10, 15 years ago. And this young woman said, wow, you look like you're really having a bad day. And my mom said, I am not. And she goes, oh, well, your face doesn't look like you're smiling. I goes, I am smiling. It's like, Mom, if they tell you you're not, that usually means your face is just like, argh. So don't take it personally. I wouldn't have advised calling out my people like my mom. They don't find that too fun. But I would say, how can I make their day better? What's a question I could ask to be curious to get them to talk to me and not end up making it feel like it's a challenge? Yeah, it is frustrating. So what? Move on. Put on your big girl pants and move on, right? So what? Everything's frustrating. I can tell you a million things are frustrating. Go back 2 years. You're frustrating. All right. Angela asks, the tips employees can use to increase ticket sales in this economy. It's so different this year. Regular strategies aren't working. I would beg to differ. Great training is always working. It's not different. People are people. Going back to my example of Carvana, they were, it's a new way to buy. No one wants to go to a dealership anymore. They all want to buy online. Why is their sales down? Why is their stock down 95%? Because guess what? People don't want that. They want to go into a brick and mortar store and feel something. They want to go in and feel validated. They want to go in and feel like they matter. And all of that has to happen. If you do that, then you get the right to sell additional merchandise. If you don't, you don't. So again, I've said this before, your staff doesn't think it's worth it. It's not going to sell. If they don't have a process of what to do, it's not going to sell. And I would encourage you to think that add-ons don't happen unless you've built rapport early in the sale. A lot of times I can always tell people are untrained because I've had a great sale and then the employees just opens up at the end. You've given their credit card and it's like, oh, I really liked, your shirt, or oh, it was da, da, da," and you're like, this is not the time to build rapport. I'm out. My mind is already, I'm out. You should have done this like, I don't know, 20 minutes ago. And I probably not going to be back because now you're trying to get me to talk to you and I'm done. I'm done. It's like big deal. And again, I would say Sales RX. There's several of you on the call today, but it's SalesRx.com. And if you're not willing to do that because you feel like, oh, it's $490 a month, then ask yourself how committed you are to exceptional experience and making more money and having a different life. Because there's a reason over 11,000 people train with me. They're meeting with success and they're enjoying their jobs better. And more importantly, their customers are raving about them. If you want that, then you have a choice. The opportunity's right here. I could do it right now, or be honest with yourself. I'm really not that interested. Because the dirty little secret is change is scary. And so we don't do it. And so I get comments and several in here like, "Oh, how do I do it? Is there just is it just a one thing I could check a box with?" No. Training takes time. Training takes understanding what it takes and then meeting with success and mock sessions with it. You're not going to do it by me telling you, "Oh, greet them with good morning," because it's going to go in one ear and out the other and then you're going to have a judgment thing. Well, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if I Great. If you're going to question everything on top of it when it's been validated, then you're just making your life miserable. A lot of times the answer is right in front of us, and we still don't want to go through it because of baggage about, I don't really want to sell. I don't want to be salesy. It's not what I teach. I tried it before. I tried something that didn't work. One of the people that usually work the best with us are people who use Sales RX, and they came back and realized, holy crap, we didn't really know what we were doing, or really weren't committed. Now we are, right? Because demand is probably going down for the next 6 months. Furniture. You're in toys. You're in things. Well, toys obviously got holiday, but still, Toys R Us opening a bunch of Macy's. Target is opening their pop-up shops, and when January hits, let's be honest, it's going to be quiet. So in almost everything where you were challenged with supply, now that you got supply, you may not have as many people coming in the door. What are you going to do? You got to get more out of there every sale instead of thinking you're going to suddenly have some sale at 20% off. Big deal. Because there's always somebody cheaper, always, either online or down the street. All you've got is your four walls to compete in. And I'm here to kick your butt and say, get with the program. Put on your big girl, your big boy pants, get some training, be committed to it, know why you're doing it, and then you're going to see success. But if you just want to dip your toe in it and say, well, I just want to feel rotten, good for you. You win. Last question from David. Hey, there's David right there. Sales RX is worth every penny. What a guy. There you go. So in my little moment, I wasn't quite sure. All right, good. David says, thoughts about the cost benefit ratio of embracing new technologies relative to our business, website development, SMS, POS. What should we do? I always start with, how can I help customers find me better? So that would certainly fit into your website. That certainly fits into a strategy around Google My Business, those things, Google reviews, all of that. And then number two, can I get better information to use? So some kind of a CRM system. I use HubSpot. HubSpot is a free version, which most of you could do right now, would be enough for you, which gives you tracking and all sorts of wonderful things. And anything I can do handles your email. Anything I can do to learn more about them and then market to them better. Those are the two areas I would judge anything to. I think you're in picture framing. So I don't know if a POS system, when you might get, and I have no idea your business, but I just don't see like hundreds of sales a day. So it may not be as important, for example, as a CRM system where you'd have to go through and take all the people that you had with handwritten, sales slips and put them into your system. But once you do it, you've really got something to go with and there. So there you go. Well, listen, what'd you get out of today? Type it in there below. What'd you get out of being with me today? My goodness, 33 minutes. You had a lot of questions and almost all of you stayed. So I appreciate all of that. So what's one thing you got out of it? Anybody, just type it in there. And there is a little bit of a delay, so I'll have to probably punt here for a minute. But, we're coming into the home stretch now, and you are going to be pushed with thinking about, how do I get my mindset right? And how do I go through and make my employees' day? And my other thing, which I didn't have anybody ask me about today, but Now is the time to be thinking of either employee appreciation or employee party or something before Thanksgiving. Don't do it in the middle of December, like, oh, we're all going to do something in December. They're tired. They're not going to want to go out or do anything else. Do it in November, week before Thanksgiving. Take them all out to dinner, close the store, have breakfast, whatever it's going to be. And it doesn't have to be a sales meeting. It's just saying thank you for all of them who were there. And yeah, I get it. Not everyone will make it and it'll be tough. Just leave all that crap behind. Just do it. Just ask yourself today, what if I just said yes? What if before I started digging in on what it won't work and why it can't and I couldn't and all that, what if I just left that behind? What if I just said, wow, what if it could do work? How could I make this happen? Great. Because if that happens, life gets easy. And if you don't, I think you're going to have a really tough time because people who feel anxious and alone and fearful make that happen in their employees and it makes it happen in their customers and they end up hating life and the store and they feel like I bought a job and it'll never get better. And you know what? They're right. All of us have those moments though. I mean, you'll have a day, a week, that's okay. But in general, if your North Star is, I got to make somebody else's day before they're going to make mine, life gets easier. Be curious about that next person walking in the door, life gets easier. Hiring someone and saying, wow, they're not perfect. I'm going to make them perfect. Great. Have a fun time doing it. But please don't come to me telling me how put upon you are and your life sucks and you go on your little chat boards. Oh, yeah, so we had this and this vendor was horrible. If that's what you want to do, you're just bringing negativity into your life. And I'm telling you, there's enough of it out there. We live in kryptonite. I want you to put on your cape and go fly with me. I'm Bob Phibbs, the Retail Doc. Thanks for joining me today.